do? So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about a champion that has been in my role of AD carry for some time now, especially in professional games, has always seemed to find themselves picked first or banned, even all this time later. That champion is Corki, Kalista. My problem with Kalista is my problem that most people have with Kalista, right? Kalista just seems kind of different and then as such harder to fight and does just a bunch of crazy stuff that makes kind of like little to no sense to some people. Like orb walking is literally built into her kit in a sense, right? Like orb walking used to be like a mechanic you'd have to do for other AD carries and still do, but Kalista kind of gets it for free with the martial pose, and it's like, okay, fine. You know how hard it is to duel somebody when your champion has skill shots that you can just side to side them? Stuff like that is just gonna frustrate me, right? I'm just gonna go over maybe just like a few, maybe 5. There's a couple things about Kalista that I have just like a little bit of a beef with. I'm just gonna go over a few of them, maybe like 5. I guess my fifth biggest problem with Kalista is that Forgiven's right, in a sense. I say he's right in a sense because if you know how Forgiven feels about Kalista and all that stuff, or if you don't know, you know, maybe go look that up and then come back. But essentially, that's just it. There's no more to really be said about that. Or how Kalista synergizes with certain champions that make you then hate that champion as well. Like for me, I hate when a champion can pretty much dive punishment free. So I hate what I call Kalistar, which is Kalista and Alistar. It's pretty much Alistar with the K on front, actually, if you look at the spellings. Because she can throw Alistar in, and then because he hits 6, he just free dive like the enemy bot lane pretty easily, with no real punishment for either of them, because Alistar is just going to take all his turn shots, and Kalista, because she's attacking second, won't draw aggro and just gets her stacked and then spear you to death. I find that annoying. Another reason why I have a very, very deep hatred for Garen. Like, I'm sure Garen's like a decent person, but I can't stand the fact that, yeah, you can kite him if you want with his, you know, speed up and all that, and then the cooldown he builds into his kit, and then the fact that he doesn't have any mana, so he's not going to run out. But you can kite him. I'm saying it like this because most of the time people are complaining about Garen, it's because you couldn't kite him, like you got caught by him or something, right? The problem is when you usually kite a champion, you get to your tower or something and you're safe. Not with Garen though. You kite Garen, he's just gonna dive you in the tower and still kill you. Oh, you went to Fountain? That's fine. I don't mind dying too, but I'm still gonna drop this sword on you and kill you as well on your Fountain. That's like a video for another time. But the fact is, I played against Kalista with a support Garen once, and that just solidified my dislike of Garen forever, unfortunately. So it's just the different combos with that, especially if you have a support and you're playing a game and you're not dueling with them and they AFK or DC. But it just makes things really rather hard to play against the Kalista even that much more, right? Like there's some AD carries where if you're in a 1v2 scenario and you hug your tower, you'll generally be safe. But when I'm a Jinx and my support AFK'd because their router got turned off by accident, and so I'm playing against a Kalista Lux bot lane, that's some messed up stuff. The Lux, all the Lux had to do was ult just to chunk me down. Kalista could throw her in and do the rest, and they can even sacrifice Lux every time, and Kalista's still going 1-0, so that's a story that I shouldn't have said to solidify how much I suck at this game. I think my third biggest problem with Kalista is the fact is if you're going to be throwing all those spears, if you have that many spears, your name better be either Brittany or you better be the second half of Rated RKO. And if you don't get that joke, this is a bad joke. My second biggest problem with Kalista is probably the fact that I understand why, even though she had some nerfs, even though she had some changes and such, why she's still such a powerful pick. And the reason she's such a powerful pick still is because she gives you a form of engage, but still can also be a very deadly damage dealer. Like you usually pick Sivir, right? But you have a comp where you have a bunch of champions you want to speed up, you want to kill people by enabling them to have a gap closer they might not have but need it. Like Darius, for example. You go on a team with Darius, you pick Sivir, you speed the Darius up, he just goes and dunks people just all over the place, especially the Dunk Master skin, because that's the only skin Darius has, apparently. Good skin though, don't get me wrong, it's just apparently the only skin Darius has. They fouled. But that's the idea with Sivir, right? Or with Ashe, you have the Ashe arrow. You stun somebody and it allows your teammates to jump in and get them afterwards, so that they don't have to have some sort of engage. You have the engage with the stun and you're just a utility to clean up. That's the thing about Sivir and Ashe, they're both utility and they clean up. And that's kind of their thing where they not necessarily fall off, but they don't do like Kalista, who has her ult. She can throw in the support, like an Alistar, and then that's your engage, so then you got a knock-up, and then Alistar already has the pulverize that he can do again, but you have your spears that you can also stack into people and then rip out, and then also do a bunch of damage with. So Kalista's like a better tier above Sivir and Ashe in that like utility engage method, but she also does a lot of damage as well. So she brings to the table a lot more things than certain AD carries do individually. And that's why she is such a powerful pick, and I get it. Kind of hate it, but I get it. Because at watching like professional games, I don't necessarily mind Kalista too much, especially like it's Kalista main or Kalista every now and then, or you want Kalista in this comp. But it's just Kalista everywhere, right? Kalista's powerful, let's just pick Kalista. And if you can't play Kalista, it's pretty much that you suck, right? Which leads to my number one most reason why I hate Kalista, and it's just because I can't play her well. That's my number one reason, actually. I can't play Kalista well. I've tried. I have won some games, but I mean, one of the games I won was specifically what I just named in point 2. I went 0-9 in a game. I think I went 0-9-7, so I did have some assists, which kind of doesn't mean too much, unless you have like 28 assists, which equals like 7 kills, I think, in terms of gold and stuff. It doesn't matter how many assists you have if you're 0-7. Except, I only had so much damage in this game, and that damage literally came from me ulting our engaged support into the enemy team. What ended up happening in this particular game is I would die, but I'd set my team up in a spot where they would win the team fight, and then eventually that happened enough that we won the game. But pretty much sacrificed myself, and then we won the game because I had a form of engage, and also as the AD carry getting focused because I'm not just utility, right? It's like, oh, you're probably a damage source, so we'll just kill you. Fortunately, we had like 3 damage dealers on this particular team comp. There's no reason I should go 0-9 and still like be able to help and benefit that much. I guess that's not a great example because we won, but what I'm saying is I can't play him as well, or play Kalista as well as a Kalista players play Kalista. And no one can really play a champ as well as a main, but I mean, I'm not even good at CSing with the Rins and all that. I'm not very good at the hopping around as much. I'm getting better at it, I am practicing her, but I just can't play her right now. And I do like the more simpler champs, and that's partly because I play the game for fun. So it's part of why I did gravitate towards Jinx when I first started out. Jinx is just a pretty straightforward, fun champion to play in my opinion. But it's not because Kalista can't be, maybe, I might view her in a better light if maybe I could at least play her pretty well, and I can't. So I'm not gonna lie, that's actually probably the number one reason I just can't stand Kalista, because I can't do the cool stuff that Kalista players can do. That's really it for this video. Actually probably could go on a little bit longer, but at the end of the day, this is more like just a comedic take of my dislike for Kalista. There really isn't a champion that I purely hate in the game, besides maybe Garen, and even then it's mainly because I'm salty because I got caught out by something. Then I get told, oh, you should have kited him. It's like, yeah, let's kite a dead man's plate every 4 seconds, speeding up, you know, boots of swiftness, Garen, okay, at like point blank range. That's not gonna happen, because once he drops the silence, you can't flash, you can't drop any like airs, nothing. You're done at that point, and that's where my hate for him comes from, is the fact that I got caught. Well, villain mechanic, that's a video for another time. Let's just put it that way. Garen's the closest to a champion that I actually hate though, but maybe it's partly my fault, let's just put it that way. But we could debate that one in like a completely different segment. This video's done though, however, so I don't know when the next video is going to be, because life is full of a bunch of kinks, but until next time, take care, GG, get jinxed. And also Kalista, if you could just stop it. Power picks.